So everybody, let's welcome Ezra, our first storyteller, the second half.
That's good. In a lot of ways, Ed was the perfect example of a Bar Harbor townie. Now, I grew up in Bar Harbor, and I have a lot of mixed feelings about it because you got everyone who shows up for the summer, they disappear in the winter, like they clog the arteries of the city. It's just, well, city, it's a village. But regardless, Ed is sort of like one of those stereotypical but nuanced people. So I've never seen the man wearing anything but a t-shirt and floral patterned swimming trunks, and usually Birkenstocks, sometimes flip-flops, but we're talking regardless of season, regardless of weather, this is just what the man wore. And he had a law degree, which he wasn't using, which also really fits with Bar Harbor in its own unique way. I met Ed when I started working for Atlantic Brewing Company in Bar Harbor. I got a job. I'd moved back from upstate New York, and they said, "What do you know about beer?" And I said, "I like beer." I drank beer in California and New York. Is that good enough? And they said yes. So I got in on the early side of the craft beer movement, and I started working with Ed. And I was like the clean-cut college kid, and Ed was the townie. And so we would give tours and tastings all summer. We did this for 4 summers in a row, and we turned it right into a dog and pony show, because I would be like, "Hey, Ed, we got this Island Ginger here. This is a wheat beer brewed with ginger. Ginger is good for you. It settles your stomach." And he's like, "Goddamn right it does. Christ, tell me, some of these friggin' tourists are going to hit the whale watch. Bring a case, you won't even care if you see a friggin' whale." You know. And then we go to something like the summer ale. It's like, "This is our summer ale. It's light and refreshing." It's like, "Yeah, drink a 6-pack, mow the lawn. Drink a case, get some crop circles, guy." And so that's just to illustrate the basic dynamic that Ed and I had. But this is a very specific story I like to tell. One day, I was doing a tasting, I've got a pitcher full of beer, and I'm like, "This is a summer ale, blah, blah, blah." And Ed's like, "Goddamn right." And this couple walks in, and this is very typical of like July in Bar Harbor. Husband is like, "Beer. Oh my God, beer. It's here. I can smell it." And the wife is sort of like lingering back, like, "You're gonna take me to the winery afterwards, right?" This happened a lot because you have the winery down the road, you have the brewery, everyone's happy and mildly drunk, but it all works. They're on vacation, they can do what they want. So anywho, guy jumps into the tasting, and the wife starts sort of circulating, kind of perusing the store. And we had all this knickknacks, bric-a-brac, touristy junk. And one of the things we had there was this Wild Maine recipe book. And in it, you could find bear, you could find quail, partridge, venison, and beaver. And so I'm giving a tasting, and husband's all into it, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here, and everyone stops and looks over, and this woman has got the Maine Wild recipe book open. And she says, with like a hint of shock, surprise, and awe, "You eat beaver?" And I look over at Ed. And Ed does one of like, and I'm kind of like, "Oh shit." And he's like, "Christ, Mom, don't we ever? Sometimes twice a day. If we can find it." And he's like, "Isn't that right, Ezra?" And so now the ball is squarely in my court. I have to decide whether to try and defuse the situation or abort, whatever's happening. But I look over at her, and she's like, "They do eat beaver." Just like right over her head, just exactly. And so I look over at Ed, it's like, "Well, Ed, it's all in how you prepare it. Some people like a marinade, some people prefer a dry rub." And so Ed's like, "That's right, you want it nice and tender, don't you?" We did that for almost 6 minutes. And she started to get it. What she had done by asking this question. And for the rest of that summer, it was just, "Hey, Ezra, how you doing today? You get any beaver?" Not today, Ed. And that's just what we did all summer. We had a lot of fun. And that's my story.